What's going on, fight fans? Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of the main event right here on Franchise Sports Media. I'm Kalani Lua, and boy, oh boy, woo, some good things happen over in the other desert at UFC 308. And still, this was tough. This was tough to watch. Ilia Topuria successfully defends his featherweight championship against Max Holloway. The blessed Hawaiian with the blessed one from Hawaii, man. He went down, first time being knocked out in his career. Ilia Topuria, third round TKO. Oh, that was tough to watch. It was a tough pill to watch. Now, going in, as he said here on the show and in all the breakdowns, yes, Ilia's boxing, top tier, very good power. His composure in the big fight. When he fought Volkanovski, when it's different, like George St. Pierre said, it's hard when you're at the top. Climbing the mountain, that's the easy part, because you're hungry, you got a goal in mind, you're starving to be the next great one. You got the vision there. When you're at the top and everyone's coming from you, it is tough to go out there and stay focused. And for Ilia, he's taking on Volkanovski. Okay, Volk just came off his fight against Islam Makhachev at 155. I got my eye on the title. That's the man I need to dethrone. And it was early. Bam, bam, thank you, ma'am. I got the belt. But how's he going to be now that he's the one being hunted? Well, he went out there, as he told Max, the first 10 seconds, let's stay right there in the middle. Came right out and said, let's go. Max hit him with the Matador. And then from there, it was, first off, it was a competitive fight. It was a competitive fight. Let's get that clear. Max did a great job in utilizing his jab, which is the most underrated move in MMA. But he did a great job in utilizing his jab against Ilia, keeping him at bay, setting the pace. And there were times in the first two rounds, Max, for the most part, I would say maybe 85, 90%, staying away from the cage, staying in the middle, circling around. Anytime he would get backed up or forced near the cage, spin out of it, turn left, turn right, get back to the center of the cage. Because Ilia, as strong as he is, you don't want him to have your back against the cage. One, his striking, but two, his grappling. We even see him went in for a takedown, pick Max up, put him down again when Max was against the cage. So Ilia looked good in the first 2.5 rounds, because again, this was a third round finish. He looked good against Max. I felt that it was competitive between the two. How you scored it, 2-0 Max, 1-1, 2-0 Ilia, it was one of those where it wasn't a definitive winner in each one where you could just say, there's no way he won that round. No, they were competitive rounds. They were going at it, but you can tell from the leg kicks, and this is something I'm a bit concerned with Max. I understand he does have the boxing style of striking when he fights, but ever since the first Volkanovski fight and the two that follow that, Max has never changed his position on having that lead foot leg be out there and just, hey, if you're going to leg kick me, you're going to leg kick me. Now, he is a switch stance fighter, so he can't move at that from time to time. But it's like, Max, what are you doing? You're not checking these. You're not switching up your stance. So what's going on here? Ilia was just eating up that leg, saying, wah-pow, wah-pow. And just like with Volk, you can say, hey, if this goes on, you're going to notice that Max isn't going to be able to move around as much. He's not going to be as quick and as fast trying to counter and move out the way of danger, because that leg is going to be compromised. Ilia, once again, showing off tremendous boxing skills. With the head movement, he was coming in with body shots, coming in with combinations of his own. There was a couple times where he snapped Max's head back. You're like, oh, wait a minute. Hold on now. You ain't supposed to be doing that to Max now. What's going on here? When the end came and he clipped Max, one, we rarely even see Max get hurt in a fight. I mean, that's just what we got as Polynesians, man. We just got thick skulls. We're able to go out there, take a beat down, and still keep trucking forward. Max, this time, he got put back on his back pedal, but not in a way of, let me get out the way, almost like, whoa, wait a minute, what was that you just hit me with? And then Ilia followed in, came in for the finish, put the man away. Hey, he did what he said he was going to do. I'm going to become the champion knocking out Volk. I'm going to take out one of the greats in Max Holloway. He even acknowledged it afterwards. Hey, Max is one of the greatest, and he is. Look, the fight game is competition, but at the end of the day, hey, man, you're one of the greats of all time. I modeled what I try to do after you. All your title defenses, what you did for this division and whatnot, I can't do nothing but respect you. I'm going to beat you, but nothing but respect. So shout out to Ilia Topuria for his performance and getting the victory. Max, he says, hey, we're going to come back, and as I said on the show last time doing a preview, I think that if Max loses, what else is out there? Like right now, Sugar Sean O'Malley isn't going to move up to 145. He's going to try to recapture his 135 title, and then if he does move up, whoever the champion is. Now, you could have a warm-up fight at 145, and I'm not saying Max is on the warm-up level of his career yet, but, something like that. Aljamain Sterling just came to 145. That'll be an interesting matchup if those two was a fight, but that's it, really. He's beaten everybody else. So now you got to say, all right, well, if Max is going to keep trucking, is this now his time to move up to 155 permanently? Take the rest of the year off, probably take a good amount of 2025 off, maybe come back around International Fight Week or shortly thereafter towards the end of next summer and come back at 155 looking how he looked against Justin Gaethje and say, okay, I'm here for a new challenge, new opponent, let's get it. For Ilia's like, hey, I just beat one of the greatest of all time in Alexander Volkanovski. I just beat another greatest of all time in Max Holloway, and I finished both of them. Instead of me trying to wipe out the division, I want champ status. I already got the title. I got the BMF title. I don't know if it's official if he got that because technically Max won at 55, not 45, but Ilia knocked him out. So I don't know. But he's like, hey, I want champ status. I want to move up and take on Islam Makhachev. The UFC sounds like they're saying, whoa. Hold on there, but pump your brakes a little bit. We'll see what plans they have going forward with him. There's a plethora of good talent at 145. Here's the only issue with it, though. Outside of Aljamain Sterling possibly moving up, all these other guys have lost title fights. Now, you do have Diego Lopez, who was in the crowd. He was there, and I was like, okay, that's the matchup you want to make right there. But afterwards, who gets in the cage? Alexander Volkanovski. Now, you'd say one of those, hey, listen, man, you did everything you had to do here at 145. You even moved up to 55. Should have won the first fight against Islam. I thought he won the first fight, but the decision went to Islam's way. Then you went up there again on short notice. Islam knocked him out. Hey, man, there's no knocking you there. I mean, you got knocked out on like 3 days' notice. But now he's taking on Ilia. Do they do the rematch with those two? Possibly, especially if they plan on going to Sydney, Australia sometime soon. Yeah, that sounds like the way to go with that. But Diego Lopez, to me, is one. In fact, I would even say, just an idea, what about telling Ilia, hey, why don't you sit down real quick? We're going to have Volkanovski and Diego Lopez fight for the #1 title contender. Ooh, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Diego Lopez from Brazil. Volk from Australia. Aussie. Charma. It is going to be a fight between those two. I think Lopez against either one of them will be a great matchup. Lopez, while he's well-rounded, he's not a full fighter. I think there are times where in the strike game, Ilia could get the better of him there, especially with the power. But he's shown time and time again, he's got the cardio to go 5 rounds. He's going to keep pushing forward. He's good on the ground. He's getting better in his stand-up. So it's one of those where you say, hey, yeah, I would love to see the matchup. I think if you announced it right now, I would maybe favor Ilia over Diego. Very, very slightly, though. Obviously, the UFC now with a Spanish champion, they definitely want to make their way to Spain. Can you imagine the UFC out there? Or Real Madrid, Barcelona, UFC? Let's go, baby. Let's go. Co-main event. Look, you guys have heard me on here with my former co-host, Griffin Kemp. He's a big Khamzat Chimaev fan. I would mock the dude just because, hey, he doesn't fight. Last time we saw him, we didn't even have color TVs back then. That's how long it's been since he's fought. But then he takes on Robert Whittaker, and we're thinking, hey, man, you taking on a Grim Reaper. You taking on a former champion. Robert Whittaker's game. Ain't nobody ever ran through Robert Whittaker. This dude, he here to stay. He going to be toes down, and, well, no, not really. He's going to go down on his ass because Khamzat said, come here, boy. Put him on his ass, mauled him for about 3 minutes to the point where you're almost like, Robert, just survive. What's going on here? Khamzat showed that when he's healthy and he's motivated and he's in there, there's not really anyone in this division that's going to be able to stop him from getting a takedown. Mauls Robert Whittaker. Then he puts on a neck crank in a rear naked choke position. Robert taps very quickly, and we're all wondering, like, hey, wait a minute, man. Is this like the Conor McGregor-Khabib one where you just tapped out because you were exhausted and you didn't want to get your butt whooped anymore? No, this was, hey, man, Khamzat Chimaev's grip is so strong. That quick wrench of the neck crank fractured Robert Whittaker's jaw. They showed afterwards the pictures. It's all jacked up here. He gonna be eating out of a straw the next few weeks. Get better, Robert. But Khamzat Chimaev smash his face. We saw Kevin Holland afterwards when he got tapped. His eyes was all blustering red. It looked like it was about to. His eyes was about to pop out like in the mask. I tell you, man, Khamzat Chimaev is the real deal. Now, here's what's interesting. Initially, DDP, Dricus Du Plessis was going to defend his title against Sean Strickland in a rematch. With Khamzat Chimaev just winning this fight in the manner in which he did, the momentum and the undefeated streak, and really not being challenged whatsoever, this actually makes for a better matchup. DDP versus Khamzat Chimaev. The Strickland one, I don't see the need for a rematch right away. Yes, he did defeat Israel Adesanya for the title. I get that. Huge upset. Izzy wasn't himself, dealing with some injuries. It's not his most inspiring performance, despite it being an upset. But then he loses, close fight by the way, but then he loses in his first title defense due to Duplessis. Then when he takes on Paulo Costa, he wins. But again, it's a lackluster performance. It's one of those where, unless you're a super Sean Strickland fan or you're studying the fights, you're not going back to watch that just because, oh, hey, it's free to watch. Or, hey, let me go to UFC Fight Pass and, let me watch this real quick. You're just not. So I don't know why there's such a need to get him an immediate title shot. I would have felt like he needs to win another fight before he gets in that particular mindset. Now, if you say, wait a minute, what if we subbed him out, give him another bout at middleweight to take on, but we give Khamzat Chimaev versus Dricus Du Plessis. Now, DDP went online saying, hey, give me Chimaev. I'll be the one to go ahead and take his undefeated streak. I'll take his 0. So he's already out there. Khamzat's like, hey, smash, give me location. I'm ready. It'll be interesting to see for 2025, how long does the UFC wait to give Khamzat Chimaev a title shot? Hopefully he can stay healthy. Hopefully any issues he's got from traveling, whether it's visa, sickness, whatever it may be, that he's able to get over it and surpass it. Because when he's in the cage, I've said it here on the show before with Griffin Camp, hey man, when he does fight, he's fantastic to watch. Dude, you got to fight. You have to fight. I don't want to see you fight again in 2029. 2025 is coming up. Let's see you go back out there. For Robert Whittaker, he's back. Obviously, he's got to heal up, back to the drawing board. Where he goes from here, he's another one kind of in the flux right now because he is a former champion. He's lost some big fights, though, when it was time for him to step up, but he's clearly shown he's still one of the better guys at middleweight. I don't see him moving down. Could he move up to 205? Again, this is where I think if you had, let's say, a cruiserweight division, 195, someone like Whittaker would be perfect for that. Because then you can say, hey, man, you've done everything you need to do at 185. Maybe taking on some of the elite guys at the top right now just isn't in your wheelhouse. Why don't you go ahead and try your luck at 195? It's a new challenge. It's only 10 pounds up. That 85 to 205, that's 20 pounds jumping. Plus, you got to think, depending on the fighter, you're probably adding another 20 pounds for when he rehydrates. That's 40-pound difference from a 185er. Everyone wanted to mock GSP for not fighting Anderson Silva. Yeah, because I'm not naturally that big. I'm like 190 in the offseason, cutting down to 170. So now I take on Anderson Silva. We both weigh in at 185. Silva's naturally bigger. He's going to blown up to like 220, 215. No. He's already got the height advantage. So, yeah, what happens in 2025 for Whittaker? Does he move up? Does he stay stagnant there? He's clearly still one of the best in the game. He joined to the buzzsaw. That is the Wolf, Khamzat Chimaev. Also on the card, we got Magomed Ankalaev. He gets a victory. I wouldn't say it was an inspirational, but he cemented himself, got a decision win. And it's one of those where you say, okay, he's got the win. He stood up striking. This was interesting. Everyone's talked about how much of a grappler he is and how if he fights Alex Pereira for the title, he'll just take him down. Well, this one, he didn't really go for a lot of takedowns. He wanted to stand up and show off his strike game. Now, of course, matchups do vary how you want to approach it. So in taking on Pereira, he would be wise to go out there and take him down. But in showing that he can and will stand up with someone also says, hey, I'm going to give you something to think about. Because as soon as you think I'm just going to come in as soon as the bell rings and go for a double A and you're getting ready for the takedown, that's when I come with the overhand right. We got LaRon Murphy. He got a decision victory. He stays 15-0. That's another fun guy to watch at featherweight. Does he get a title shot or at least a high-ranking fight? That outside of Aljamain Sterling, that's probably the only other name that Max Holloway hasn't fought there. But do you really want those two to fight? Because if Holloway was to win, well, where do you go with him now? This will be his third. This will be his fourth title shot, and he's 0-3 in his last attempt. So. Yeah, probably keep those two away from each other. We also had Magomedov. He went to 15-0 with a double spin back fist knockout. He goes, hits the right, spins around to throw the right back fist. Kind of blocks, he kind of hits him. Then he immediately spins back around, knocks him out with the left back fist. I mean, what the hell? And remember, he's legally blind in one eye. So one of them, he didn't know he was throwing. He just said, out of hell with it. Bam, oh, there he is. Ha! Knocked him. So I believe I read that he's a free agent, but confident that UFC is going to get him right. UFC definitely has themselves an international star here on their hand, someone who has shown, hey, man, I'm a bad mother, shut your mouth. But that was fun to watch in itself. Overall, I mean, the card obviously was a success. A lot of fun. You know, that's just how the fight game goes sometimes for Max. So UFC 308 happened. It's gone. It went. Good times indeed. We are going to be moving forward. Next one is 309 in New York City. We'll talk about that as we get closer. Got some bad news, though. Got some bad news. UFC 310 going down in December in Las Vegas at T-Mobile Arena. The headline was going to be Bilal Muhammad making his first title defense at welterweight. Well, unfortunately, due to an injury, an infection of the bone in his foot. It looked like it was one of his toes that needed to get surgery on. His whole left foot was just ballooned up. He showed a video on IG, wires going through his body, trying to heal up. He's out of it. Prayers up to him. Get better fast, man. Regardless of who you root for in the sports world, you never want to see serious injuries happen. You never want to see someone's health or career put in jeopardy like that. If nothing else, hey, man, if I'm watching you play football against my team, have some popcorn before the game so your hands are a little slippery and you don't catch the ball so much. I don't want to see you get hurt out there. Get a little tummy ache, take them Pepto-Bismol. You'll be good for the next game. But against my team, just a little bit slower. That's all. So, shout out to him. Now, Shavkat Rakhmonov, where does he go? Where does he go? Who does he take on now? Do you give him another opponent at 170? This short notice against this type of fighter, who do you go for? I heard Kamaru Usman's name being thrown out there because it's a big name. It's a former champion. People are familiar with him, but he's nowhere close to deserving of a title shot right now. There ain't always been an issue with the UFC in the past. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm playing. You go to Colby Covington. Rumors were he was offered his fight a few fights back. Shavkat was like, yeah, he denied it. He didn't want it. Dana White's like, yeah, not too many people going to say yes to this dude. So do they keep him on the card? It will be interesting to see who they get as a replacement, possibly for the interim, or do they just see how long Bilal's going to be out and see, hey, do we just move this down a month and a half, 2-3 months, or do we give someone to him right now? But as 2024 has shown us, if you need a fight, injury pops up, visa issues, sickness, somebody doesn't want to come back from selling their whiskey and living on their yacht to actually come back and fight Michael Chandler, you know who you can call, right? Chama, Alex Pereira, we need you, buddy. What did he put out on X? He put the red phone there. When the red phone rings, Alex Pereira answers. Now, here's what's interesting about this particular one. If he was to do it, right, Pereira, he comes in, let's say you take on him and Ankalaev. Okay, let's finally get this out the way. Everyone's saying you're the one guy in this division that I don't want to fight. Let's get this out the way. Let's step up. You didn't take a whole lot of damage in your last fight. I'm ready to go because in the kickboxing world, we turn around and fight every other weekend. Let's go at it. But here's what's interesting. In 2024, if you say who's the fighter of the year, well, you got Ilia Topuria, who we just talked about, knocking out the featherweight champion in Volkanovski, one of the greatest of all time, Mount Rushmore at 145, and taking on possibly the GOAT at 145, or at least one of the GOATs in Max Holloway. Again, on the Mount Rushmore. So then you say, hey, this guy just finished two of the all-time greats, absolute legends of the games, and knocked him out, made it look easy. Is he fighter of the year? Or is it Alex Pereira, who has stepped up time and time again this year on short notice fights? 2 weeks, fine. Week of, you got it. The morning of, okay. Right when the co-main event aims and you need me to come in and do it, whatever it is, I'm going to come in and do it. He's taking UFC 300, I'll come save the day. You need me to go ahead and take on Khalil Roundtree in Salt Lake City? You need me to go ahead and knock this guy out? So if Pereira was to step in and have this fight and win, clearly fighter of the year, and continues his legacy as one of, you can honestly say this, one of the greatest of all time. Alex Pereira in his short run is like, yeah, buddy, I don't get paid by the hour, okay? I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. Huh? And he's going out there just trying to keep stacking up these wins. Again, Uncle Ab's no easy victory, but wouldn't that be something if we ended the year with Alex Pereira once again stepping in to save the day of a fight card? That'll be fun. On that card, we do have Alexander Pendejo taking on Kai Osukura. Now he's 21-4, coming over to the UFC from ONE FC, and this is his first fight in the UFC, and it's for a title. It's like, hey, baby, let's jump right in the fire right now. That's baptism on the fire. Let's get it. So there's a lot of other fights on that card. We're going to get to those as it gets closer, but that is the big news that has come out with those with that particular fight. Will Pereira get the call? Time will tell. Now, one thing I don't like is when an employer and employee cannot come to terms and they separate. Now we got to start bashing each other. Now we got to start saying all these negative things about each other, right? Dana White and Francis Ngannou, it seems like their relationship continues to just rust away, and we get further and further away from can they ever come to grips? And hey, kumbaya. It doesn't seem like it, because now you got Dana White saying he wanted to cut Francis after if he would have lost 2 in a row. Now that loss he had against Derek Lewis, goes in against Stipe Miocic, loses that fight in his first heavyweight title defense. Then he takes on Derek Lewis at T-Mobile Arena during International Fight Week, and he was just gunshot. Him and Derek Lewis. Now, Derek Lewis can have the excuse of having the back injury, and you know he's a colorful guy, so you know he's like, hey, man, I got a bad back. I need to get that worked on. But neither one, I was there live. Neither one of those guys do a fight. I mean, it was like, whoa, we didn't miss anything. Unfortunately, because it was such a highly anticipated fight. But Dana was like, hey, I wanted to cut that dude after those 2 losses and just get rid of him. Seems a bit outlandish considering how much you hyped him up for his fight against Stipe. Now, I've thought this just as an idea or a theory. I think the UFC, Dana White and the UFC, when Francis Ngannou fought Alexander Overeem, Alistair Overeem, excuse me, when they fought Alistair Overeem, he lived at the Apex Center. Like Dana White and all them raved about, hey, this dude lives here. He's here every single day, all day. This is home, basically. I think he's got a mat somewhere in there where he just sleeps on. Then when he gets a shot at Stipe, he goes back to France for a couple of weeks, where he originally started training and went back there. Now, again, I don't know what the UFC was planning, if they had something in mind. Dana even kind of acknowledged he did not like that. And he kind of had the look on his face like he knew more of what was going on with that than he let on. But it's like, yeah, I don't agree with it. And then look how Francis ended up looking against Stipe. He toughed out the 5-round decision loss. But he looked horrible. Granted, a whole lot of that goes to Stipe going out there and saying, oh, so you're the next big thing, huh? I'm the current big thing. Let's go. Ever since then, I don't know. Because as it went forward, it seemed like the UFC was still happy to promote Francis, put him out there. Now Dana's saying, you know, he's not a good human being. He's not a good person. To my knowledge, just to mine from what I've seen, heard from other people, I've yet to hear anyone even hint at the idea that Francis isn't a good person. We can all have a bad day in running into somebody. It's like, oh, man, you didn't want to sign my 20 items I was going to sell on eBay. That doesn't mean he's a bad person. I've yet to hear anyone really comment on Francis not being a good person, especially with everything that he's gone through in life. I don't know. It just doesn't seem that way. Now, we do know Dana does like to lash out at fighters that he can't get to agree to UFC terms. Now, again, it could be you're on both sides of it because it's a business. So it's like, look, I'm going to pay you guys, clearly. But if you think we're in the world of boxing, boxing is independent all the way through. Like, that fight is only for that fight. I got an entire roster of guys I got to go ahead and get squared away. And this fight card isn't just you and a bunch of nobodies that nobody else understands. No, this card is stacked. So, but then as a fighter, you're like, yeah, but I'm the reason these people are also buying the pay-per-views. I'm the reason these butts are in the seats. Yes, the 3 letters above are 3 letters on our gloves and above us at the arena. That means a whole lot too. But you also need the stars. You also need the big name fighters. You need people who can come forward and deliver. You need a presence. It's a whole package deal, Daddy-O. We're just asking for a better piece of the pie, not less. We'll see how it goes. It just, unfortunately, it just means whatever happens with John Jones and Stipe next month, we are going to be nowhere close to possibly seeing Jones, Ngannou, see Africa. Ooh, it tingles me. But, I mean, is John Jones talking about it could be his last fight? Does he try to maybe go ahead and retire and say, hey, I'm out of here? So we'll see how that unfolds. What would happen in 2025? It's a lot going on. It's going to be very exciting. You guys be sure to stick around to the main event right here on Franchise Sports Media for more. I'll be breaking down more and recapping more as we go forward. Till next time, fight fans, I'm Kalani Lua. This is the main event. This is Franchise Sports Media. Peace.